All right. Hey, everybody. I am here with Eric Steinhoff, better known as Spike. Hey. Hey,
How
Spike.
you
How are
doing?
you?
You're doing great.
Good. And he serves, he's with EXP with the Steinhoff Properties Group. And he serves Maryland, right? You said DC area,
Correct.
kind of?
Yeah.
Okay.
We service Maryland. We actually do most of our business, probably 85% of our business in a neighborhood of about 3,000 homes. So
Oh,
we
that's a big neighborhood.
it is a big neighborhood. We try to dominate. We do our best. So
It sounds like you
um,
do.
yeah, it's been fun. You don't have to go far. So
Yeah, that's awesome. So, Spike, we were going to talk about today like the top three financial mistakes that agents make. And so if you could like enlighten us on what your thoughts are and then also provide like a little bit of like why you're qualified to be telling us this, like your story a little bit.
sure, I'll give a little of my background.
Yeah.
So I worked in the franchising industry. So I spent most of my adult life telling people how to run and manage their business and how to be successful. And
And most of that's financials.
it's all financials, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're just playing pretend if you don't have financials.
Right.
Just like your home, if you had no idea what was in your checking account, you couldn't be running your household, right? It would just be
Right.
guessing at it. And so when we got into real estate, we weren't great at it. Like it was really surprising. So we got into real estate. We were pretty fortunate right away. Like we very successful. And I remember like it was yesterday. We made like 80,000, 100,000. Then we made like several hundred thousand. And I was like everybody else. I had a spreadsheet which I
Yeah.
convinced myself was my profit and loss statement. It was a bunch of BS, right?
Yeah.
And I remember my taxes, I'm filing my taxes, and my accountant's like, I need $135,000 today. And I was like,
You're like,
whoa, like,
oh,
where's that coming from? And, fortunately, I had like an equity line of credit I could draw it from. And I said to myself, that will never happen ever again. Like, I
that
was like,
actually happened to me too, because exactly the same. It's like the first few years it was like fine, and I was an LLC, Team
yeah,
Synergy LLC, and then there was like 1 year that I sold like exponentially more, and my
yeah,
tax bill, I mean, I like fainted. I was like, how is it that high? And then we looked at the income and we were like, oh, so yeah, we've all made this mistake, right? You only have to make it once.
yeah. I was with a broker. They weren't fully computerized. I honestly didn't even know how much I was making. I sold about 24 million that year. And
Great.
it was just like we had like a ton of money, but it was like it was going out the door. We bought a new Mercedes, all the things that you shouldn't be doing, right? So we got serious about it. Like that was like a life changing experience. I was
Well,
super
yeah, that's a lot
embarrassed.
of money.
I was mad at myself.
Hmm.
I got a P&L. So I would say probably the number one reason is not taking your accounting seriously.
Yeah.
Is where most agents, funny story. We have a buyer's agent, run a very small team, and he's been with us about 8 years. And I asked him in preparation for this, like, hey, what's the number one mistake agents don't make, financial mistakes they make? He goes, don't save enough freaking money. Like that was like
Yeah.
what he said.
For taxes.
I love you, man.
Yeah.
It's like, it totally has become, a good, he's learned a lot from us.
We do about 30%. What are you saving?
So I studied Profit First, the book Profit First with Mike
Oh, yeah,
McAllister.
that's a great book.
Yeah, I actually became a Profit First certified professional. So we kind of run it just like that. So we
What does
allocate.
that mean?
So I had gotten into coaching with real estate agents, and I thought being a Profit First certified professional would help the coaching business. Now I don't do coaching today.
Hmm.
We do coaching for free with agents. We don't charge for it. And just
Okay.
because I didn't like the relationship when people paid me. We don't want to get into a therapy session for me, but I'm much better off. I don't need the money. It wasn't life changing for me.
Right.
The people that needed coaching wouldn't pay, and they really needed it. I was like, I'll just do it for free. And
Okay.
so I have like 4 or 5 people I coach for free, always. And so with Profit First, it teaches you to allocate the money. When your grandparents were were paying their bills, they had like an envelope for rent, an envelope for utilities, an envelope for food, and they just put all the money in envelopes and they use that envelope to pay for their
Right.
meals and things like that. And Profit First is the same way. So when money comes in the door, we pay about 45% income tax total. But
Okay.
after write-offs and everything, it's really about 17%.
Okay.
Because we do have a fair amount of write-offs. We're very good there. So as
Hmm.
soon as money comes in the door, 17% goes into an account for taxes.
Okay.
25% goes into account for a SEP IRA because we can write that off. We want to buy Tesla, so $5,000 goes into the Tesla account. And then we have an account for travel, and we have an account for medical school for my daughter. We have a payroll account. So all the money gets allocated right away. So we never had that feeling of euphoria. One of the most successful agents I know, he puts 50% in his tax account, right?
Wow.
But it's so overfunded, he knows it, so he spends it. You know, he buys things with it, and it just defeats the purpose, right?
That does. It has to be like realistic, right? And that's where people should like talk to their accountant about like what is realistic for the money that they're making and what they're writing off and stuff.
Yeah, just look at your last year's taxes. How much did you really pay at the end of the day? Because what kind of write-offs do you have? The best write-off, in my opinion, I'm not an accountant, but the SEP IRA is the most amazing.
Yeah, because you get to keep that money and write it off.
Yeah, like think about that. That's a 45% return on investment right away.
Right.
It's funny, my buyer's agent, Jacob, that I mentioned earlier, he can't work for us unless he puts 25% in the SEP IRA. Like that's a condition of employment. Like he will be fired. He's in the other room, but that's it.
That's just good. I like it. So like tip 1 is like it's basically know your numbers, know your financials.
Have financials.
Have them.
Yeah, have financials, look at them every month. And you'll be amazed at what you'll cut out expense-wise.
Do you have like a program that you like to use that you recommend, or using Excel? Like, how are you doing that?
We use QuickBooks Online.
Okay. We use YNAB. It's have you seen it?
Yeah, that's from Dave Ramsey's tree of stuff, I think.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I think so. But yeah.
It's really easy to use for us. Like QuickBooks was a little bit, I mean, I'm good at math and good at numbers, but like I'm not an accountant, right? So like
I'm not an accountant, but QuickBooks Online is so easy because when we set it up, like it just downloads our work credit card and it downloads our checking account and probably automatically categorizes 85% of it. Like I spend like an hour a month doing it. So that's I mean, you're running a business, right? The greatest thing about being in your own business is you get paid what you're worth, right?
Right.
The worst thing about being in your own business is you get paid what you're worth. So,
right.
It's, you got to know what you're making. And this is not a business that you can build and make money down the road. This is a business where you have to make money right now. If you're not making money now, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, tip 2.
Tip 2, paying for unnecessary services.
Oh.
This is
like Zillow leads?
Well, Zillow leads may be right for somebody, right? They might be.
Like, you need to listen to the one me and Monica did about should you ever buy leads.
So really it should be don't form a team, right? I'm not a team guy. So I think the team might come with Zillow leads to a little bit. So,
right.
But I would say, I don't like to judge like what's best for people. Gene Frederick wrote a book that I think it's 101 ways to build your real estate business.
Nice.
And the bottom line is there is all these ways to build your real estate business. You need to be great at 3 or 4.
And that's
it. Pick your 3 or 4, be great at it. But don't just do things that everybody else is doing and somebody else in your office is touting how I know a real estate agent that owns a team, and he spent about $100,000 marketing to a town for a year with custom coloring books, and it's going to have a coloring contest and people are going to submit them, and he was going to dominate that town. And he ended up spending about $200,000 and all that, and he doesn't even do it anymore. Like, it's just a crazy business. So don't spend money on unnecessary expenses. That is.
But I think you're making a good point, and it's like whatever you do spend money on, like holding it accountable. So, and we did a podcast on this before too, like deciding up front what you want the outcome to be and how long you're going to give it, and do the thing like 100%, and then test and measure it. Is it working? Is it not working? And a lot of people are spending a ton of money on stuff, and it's like, did it even matter?
What's the definition of working in your opinion?
You mean like working whatever you're doing?
Like you spent $20,000 on this project over a year. Like,
Well, it depends on what it is. So like if we don't really spend a lot of money. Our expenses are super low.
Yeah.
So like Vulcan. So I pay for Vulcan because one of the ways that we get business is through cold calling, and it's something I like to do.
Hmm.
And so in order for Vulcan to work, in order for cold calling to work, I know I need to be on the phone at 8, Monday through Friday. So
Correct.
like working it would be doing the things that I know to do to make that, and I pay like $500 a month for Vulcan because I've got all the bells and whistles of it, but like I'm on the damn phone every day making the calls.
So sign up for Vulcan's not going to make you successful. Get on the phone every day is going to make you
But it's
successful.
also timing. It's like whatever, yeah, like if you're going to door knock, does it make more sense? Are you more successful? I say you're probably more successful after 3. So maybe don't go door knock at 11 o'clock. You're not going to get anywhere. Maybe. Depends on the neighborhood, right?
Yep. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Essentially you need a 5 times return on your investment. Like if you're going to do something,
Yeah.
just getting your money back is not good.
It's not yeah.
Yeah, I always tell people, like, if you just got your money back, just next time you think about doing that, put your thumb in the door and slam it, and then you'll stop doing it after a while. So, sorry,
It's not enough. Yeah, 5 to 8% at least return for sure.
yeah, 5 times.
Yeah. Right.
So if you
That's
stick
not,
20
you're right.
grand,
Sorry.
yeah,
That percent
yeah.
times. Yes. All right.
So the other one I would say is a lot of agents just stop learning, and I think that they do business the same way. And I think they're unnecessarily spending money on sort of old techniques of running your real estate business.
Okay.
The book, right? Gary Keller's book, it's a great book, but
Uh-huh.
it wasn't written last year, right? It was written
Right.
a while ago. And I think the idea of having all these assistants and everything and having payroll and having workers' comp is just an old school way of doing business.
Right.
I know so many agents that probably do $3 to $4 million a year, maybe 5 million, and they have a transaction coordinator, they have a marketing person, and I'm like, what do these people do?
You don't need all that.
You don't need any of them.
Right.
Like really, with technology today, we can look at I can look at my contract in about a second and a half on my cell phone. Like I don't need somebody to send it to me or categorize it or anything else. It's just technology has made it so we don't need all these employees.
Right.
And I think that you get a virtual assistant if you need one. I mean, there's so many ways to be smart with your money versus sort of the old school technique of doing the money.
Yeah.
Right. We went to the office because in the early 80s and 90s, like yellow pages were still a thing, right? Like the Remax ad was a big deal, right? It got us business. The office had high-speed internet. Now you have high-speed internet in your pocket, right? You could do more from the bathroom than
I know.
you do at the office.
Please wash your hands, Spike.
Yeah, I know. I use alcohol wipes, especially now. But it's amazing how much agents waste money on things they don't need to, just because their office tells them to. Like, your broker might make more if you form a team, right? Your broker might make more if you have a 10-person team. You don't make more money. This is the one thing about real estate is that to most people, the perception of making money is more important than actually making money. Right?
Yeah, you can have ego or you can have money, but you can't have both usually.
Yeah, exactly. And we prefer money, it's just been an interesting journey because I remember, and we have time to expand on this a little bit, or?
Sure.
Yeah, I remember when I first got my license, I went to this, one of the brokers was recruiting me, so I went to their mastermind meeting, and there were people up on the panel, and people on the panel, I always think lie by like 50%, right? Not lie, but expand.
Yeah.
Augment by 50%, right? Puffery is the legal term.
Puffery, yes.
I remember this guy up there, and he's doing like 400 transactions a year, and he's doing like, I'm calculating at my desk. I'm like, this guy makes $10 million a year. I'm like, oh my God. Like I went home, I said to my wife, like, if he's making $10 million a year, we're going to kill it.
Right.
I'm so much sharper than he is, and I have so much more talent and ability. And then I realized that almost all of his transactions are listing homes for a new home builder. So, and he's doing it for free. And he's doing 100, 400 transactions a year, but maybe he's doing 50 real traditional transactions. And the rest are all when Ryan Holmes sells a home. And I was like, I felt so robbed when I found that out. I was like, oh my God, they're just lying. And I was like,
Yeah,
they're
it
not really
feels like
lying.
lying.
It does. So then when I started talking to agents, I was like, what kind of sales deal? I was like, what's your 1099 say? Like
Right.
that is like everything else is BS, right?
Yeah.
So, that's one of the things I would say is agents, get too much caught up in ego about where their ranking is, what their GCI is. And I'm just a 1099 person. Like what came in, what expenses do I have, and what went to profit. Like that's all
Yeah.
that counts.
No, that makes sense. Can you just share with us briefly? I don't know if you would rather share like how come you're like so passionate about this topic, or like maybe a result because you know your numbers, like something that's happened as a result where if you didn't know your numbers, it would never have happened.
Yeah, so we have, so our net worth has, since we've gotten serious about our finances, right?
Yeah.
Our net, which has been about 6 years,
Okay.
our net worth has gone up 5 times. Like that's
Nice.
really, and some of that's been luck, but it makes such a difference.
When
Then
you're looking at it, because when you look at it, you can like measure it and then you can see, you can make adjustments. If you're not looking at it, you would never know.
correct. And
Okay.
you also, one thing you do too, when you don't look at it, you're kind of robbing yourself of the self-satisfaction of doing a great job at it, right?
Yeah.
Like, you instead of, you're like, wow, I did a great job there. Like that's really done well. That was a good move and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And that's probably, and that's, I mean, that's been a life-changing thing, right? Like
Yeah.
real estate's an amazing business. The profit margins are great.
What are you doing with your money, man?
So we're pretty sophisticated in this area. So we have so we have no debt, right? We have
That's great.
we just bought a beach place and we have debt on that because we have a partner in it. So we did get a mortgage, but
Okay.
outside of that we have absolutely no debt. It's just an investment. So we have a financial planner and he's geared towards when we're going to stop working, and it's a mixture of bonds and stocks. It's not super sexy.
Nice.
I keep a slush fund. I call it a slush fund aside that I invest stocks of my own just for fun, just to
Just
do.
because you like learning it and doing that and seeing what happens.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
That's
Like,
fun.
and that does great return on investment, but I'm like fearless with it. It's not the bulk of our money. The bulk
Yeah.
is with a financial planner. It's not sexy. But it's super secure and it's enough. So the financial planner has enough for us to retire now. So everything
Right.
else is just like for fun.
That's
So now we're just
awesome.
having
Don't you have a
fun.
good story about how you bought that beach house?
Yeah, we do. So we were the EXP, right? And Glenn, came to our town when EXP was really young, right?
Okay.
Stock was 70 cents a share, and I met him. I talked to him about teams and the pros of a team, not team, and I didn't join EXP at that time because my ego was too big. I was like, well, I
Yeah.
like my broker, everything I said. All right, and can I just imagine if we had joined at 70 cents a share?
Oh,
Like,
yeah. Nice.
right? Like it's one of my worst mistakes ever was not joining at that point. I joined like a year later
Yeah.
because I was like, we sell $24 million a year in real estate. This is not a light decision we make. Totally wrong. One of my biggest regrets ever. But we made Icon Agent right away. They gave us $16,000 in stock at $324 a share. The stock's recently traded in the mid 40s, low 40s. That's worth $100,000+, obviously. And we put 5% of our commission in stock at a 10% discount. So all that has added up to over $1 million in stock. So we
Nice.
sold a large portion of that stock when it was in the 40s, and it paid for our portion of the beach house. So
That's awesome.
it was
Congratulations.
crazy good. Like, how do you? I say to people all the time, like, if you had $500,000 of Remax stock, how excited would you be? Like,
I
I'd be
know.
so excited. Like, that's the difference. Like, it's
Well, and if you wouldn't have been like so focused on like doing the numbers, looking at your money, like that opportunity never would have, you would never have seen it, which means you wouldn't have had that opportunity to sell the stock and buy a beach house. That's awesome.
You're right. We had like an experience. So I was before we joined EXP because I love my broker. Like they were great to me.
Yeah.
They did everything, and they and I remember talking to like my financial planner out in the parking lot one day, and I'm like, how much do I really need to retire? And he's like, you need $400,000 more. And I like did a quick calculation, like, shit, I'd have the 400,000 if I joined DXP last year. Like, I'd have it now.
Oh
And I was
my
like, when I walked there, I
gosh.
said to my wife, I said, we have to join. Like, it's negligent not to
Right.
join. Like, it totally is. Since then, it's been amazing, not just stock. The training is great.
Yeah.
The people we've met. So, do you know Hank Avick? Have you met Hank at
I know
all?
Hank. I've met Hank, yeah.
So, between Monica, Hank, Glenn, and Jackie Bowman, you know, it's like everything I do in my business world now is like, what would Monica do? What would Hank do? What would Jackie do? Like, it's totally like my kids' dinner table will mention Hank. Like, what would Hank say about that?
That's so funny.
But
Well,
I met from DXP.
let's wrap up, go back over the 3 tips real quick, and
Okay.
then we'll be done. All right.
I know your numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Have numbers. Don't lie to yourself. If you don't have a P&L, you're just lying to yourself.
So live in reality with your
Yeah.
numbers and
Don't
track
pay
them.
for unnecessary services and
Mm-hmm.
really monitor results. And keep learning every day as an agent. The old school agents just continue to spend money on old school things that just don't work anymore.
Yep. That's awesome. Well, I really appreciate you being on, Spike. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me know if I can do anything for you.
Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.